आपला बिझनेस जो आहे डिस्ट्रीब्युटर सेक्शन मधला असो किंवा रिटेलर सेक्शन मधला असो, या ठिकाणी टेक्नॉलॉजिकल डिसएडव्हान्टेजेस खूप मिळतात. म्हणजे ज्यावेळेस आपण एखादं बिलिंग करतो, इनव्हॉइस आपण बनवतो, आपलं प्रोडक्ट रिटेलरकडे जातं, त्याच्याकडे गेल्यानंतर काही कारणास्तव एक्सपायर होतं आणि परत आपल्याकडे ते घ्यावं लागतं. सो आपल्याकडे त्या डेटाज नसतात, म्हणजे असले तरी आपण ते वहीवरती लिहिलेले असते. कम्प्युटराइज सिस्टीम खूप कमी प्रमाणात डिस्ट्रीब्युशन मार्केटमध्ये आपल्याला बघायला मिळते आणि तीच कमी करून एक ERP आणि सेंट्रलाइज सिस्टीम देण्यासाठी ज्यांचा लाख मोलाचा वाटा आहे असे कुमारजी वेंबू सरांचं सगळ्यांनी एकदा जोरदार टाळ्या वाजवून स्वागत करायचं. ते फाउंडर आणि CEO आहेत गो फ्रुगल डिजिटल सोल्युशन्स, ज्यांनी इंजिनिअरिंग, एंटरप्रेनर, कोच, एंजल इन्व्हेस्टर, मोटिवेशनल स्पीकर अँड वेलनेस फ्रीक and back to India from Kolcom in 1995 to build a world-class product company Vembu system and Zoho. या सगळ्या सिस्टीममध्ये आता मी मराठीमध्ये काय येतोय परत, कारण की इंग्लिशमध्ये सांगण्यापेक्षा मराठीमध्ये नेमकं काय त्यांनी केलं आहे ते तुम्हाला कळणं गरजेचं आहे. तर त्यांनी पूर्ण ERP सिस्टीम बनवली जी फक्त डिस्ट्रीब्युशन आणि रिटेलर मार्केटसाठी. अशा वेंबू सरांसाठी सगळ्यांनी एकदा जोरदार टाळ्या वाजवायच्या.
गुड मॉर्निंग ऑल. And thank you to the organizers for inviting me here. My apologies for not speaking in Marathi or Hindi because I don't know them. But please bear with me for the next 10 to 15 minutes. I will try to be as simple as possible in English. I could follow, most of the speakers, especially Mr. Hemant Rathi, when he was talking about the importance of technology and the customer relationship and the things like that. So I also could follow that, there are, discussions about the one rate, one nation, one rate and other things. So I want to spend the next few minutes in basically talking about what kind of change is happening around us and what is important for all of us to continue as independent distribution business. See, why is it important for Go Frugal? Because Go Frugal is in the business of giving software to independent businesses like you. So that means only if you are healthy, all the effort we put in building software will actually bear fruit. So the first thing I want to start with is in 1859, right? In the year 1859, we all know about Charles Darwin, right? The Darwin theory of evolution. What Darwin said is, it is not the most intellectual of the species that survive. It is also not the most strongest of the species that survive. It is the species that is most adaptable that survive, right? So what does adaptable mean? Right? Adaptable means when there are changes happening. So when there are changes happening around us, we have to adapt to the change. I know from India's independence, there are people who are doing this business for 75 years, 50 years, 40 years. But over the last 75 years, changes were happening slowly, right? Slowly, very slowly, and a few changes, every few years. That is how changes were happening. For example, when computerization happened, distributors adopted computerization over a 10-year, 15-year period, right? So there were, people who adopted early. There were people who adopted 15 years back. So there is a 15-year window to adopt that change. Whereas what is happening today, this digital transformation, India becoming digital, that change is happening within a short span of 3 to 5 years. So that means you can say there is a big acceleration towards digital when COVID happened. And now those changes are getting even more accelerated. So that means we can clearly see a difference between businesses that are digitally enabled, businesses that are not digital, right? So to understand how digital our business is, we have to compare a lot of times our own experience. Like how did I deal with the government 10 years or 15 years back. 15 years back when Maharashtra state tax was there, how did I file my tax return? When Maharashtra VAT came, how did I file my tax return? When there is GST, how do I file my tax return today? Right? Today, most of us after GST, we have not visited any sales tax office, commercial tax office. Similarly, probably for most of our business, no commercial tax officer has ever visited us. So our interface with the government is becoming more and more digital. Same thing with the banks. You compare your experience with the bank 15 years back. How your experience with the banks were, how your experience with the bank today is. Whereas if you look at how your customer engagement is 15 years back, 10 years back, 5 years back, and it is today. Since we are giving software to distribution businesses, I can tell you there is not a big change. Right? We still have salesmen who go and take orders. We have to deliver goods physically. We still have, in most businesses, maybe payment have become more electronic today. But a lot of the interface with the customer is still a lot of physical thing is there. When we meet people in our business, we spend a lot of time in sharing information rather than analyzing information and taking decision. So if you take this digital, change, the businesses that are adopting to this digital technology, that are the ones that are flourishing today. So this change is very important for us to understand. The only reason, in my opinion, why do we have competition from JioMart or why do we have competition from, Udaan and companies like that is because, as distribution businesses, traditional distribution houses, you all did not adopt technology. You are not giving convenience to customer. Because of technology, lot of productivity benefits are possible. In fact, before I say productivity benefit, I want to explain what productivity means. If we measure the gross margin in our business and divide the gross margin by number of employees, how much is our gross margin per employee increasing every year? See, that is a huge metric we have to measure. For example, in our business, if we don't get 10 to 15% productivity per employee, higher productivity per employee every year, we can't survive in the technology business because we have to give very high increment to employees every year and we have to take newer people also every year. So that means, it is very important for us to measure productivity per employee. So what is the gross margin per employee we are earning every year? How much it is changing year after year? Because cost per employee is increasing. People's aspiration are increasing. Inflation is there every year. So if we have to increase that productivity per employee, we have to deploy technology because today, that is what digital gives you. When you deploy digital technology, to me, it gives two things. One is it reduces anxiety, because like when we book a Uber or Ola, right, we know whether we get the vehicle, we know when how much time the vehicle will arrive, we know where the driver is. So it is very easy for us, right? We don't have any anxiety. We don't have to call the driver to find out where he is. And driver doesn't have to call us and tell I am on the way and I will be there in 10 minutes. None of it is required. So, and similarly, the driver's skill level is also going down. So if you look at employing driver, before Google Maps, we will ask the driver, do you know the routes in the particular city? But today with Google Map, that skill is not required. So that means how do we achieve productivity? Every year if we write down the job description for any role, are we eliminating one skill from the role by doing automation? Are we eliminating one area anxiety in a role every month? If we do that, our business is digitally transforming. So this is very important today. Actually, I see huge opportunity for distribution businesses today because when you look at the balance sheet of Udaan, like I was looking at their 2021 financial year, the financials for the financial year, they have done 5,250 crore in sales. And the gross margin earned is 400 crore. And they had a loss of 1,250 crore. So that means, for every rupee of gross margin, they have lost 3 rupees. So, but they are training all the consumers, all the retail shops in ordering, digitally using a mobile app. They know what the stock availability is, what the price is, what the promotion is, and all the details. So they can order easily from the mobile app. And the retailers like that convenience. So if your business can give that convenience, you have been operating the business profitably for the last 50 or 40 or 70 years. And customers will definitely buy from you, and you are, Udaan won't get the next round of funding because the venture capital environment and the public market sentiment are all very negative against the high loss making, high growth companies. So if you see Zomato stock price from their public issue, they are down 60%. In US, businesses like these are down 85 to 90%. So that means these companies, for example, we know PharmEasy filed to go public, but they are postponing it because the market is not good. That means for companies like Udaan, raising the next round of capital will be very difficult, and they can't afford to lose 1,200 crore per year, in doing business, that is 100 crore per month. So if you all adopt technology, the retailer is already highly trained to order from a mobile app, to pay digitally, and to get a better service, expecting a better service, and you can deliver that in a very profitable manner and in a sustainable manner. So I see a very huge opportunity because you will get a market that is ready for you to exploit. So finally, to conclude, in times like this, I recommend that you all read a book called Smart Cuts. We always have heard about shortcut to success, right? Many companies take a shortcut to success, right? Meaning by doing things that are either not ethical or moral or legal. But there is a guy who wrote a book by analyzing many successful companies. This book is called Smart Cuts. So what are the things, if a company is surviving for a long time and growing very fast, what are the things they do differently? So he has identified 7 different habits for companies that take smart cuts, that can actually do very well. So one of the thing I want to talk about is, he gives an example of this, people who do this, skating in the ocean, or, that sport. What differentiates a winner, the world number 1 and world number 2 in the competition. He says in terms of skill level, both, the top 10 probably have almost similar skill level. And the person who wins the championship, they actually, all of them go to the ocean to study the ocean behavior 3 days or 1 week before the actual game. So the main thing they train themselves on is how to predict a wave. So in that sport, the person who predicts the wave correctly is the one who emerges the winner. So the lesson for us is, in fact, we can fight, right? We can fight against going digital. We can fight against customers buying online. But that is like swimming against the tide. Right? We lose energy, we get tired, and we only fail. Whereas we can fight, use all our energies to predict and understand the wave. And we can use all our energies to deploy technology, to upskill ourselves, to offer superior customer experience, to reduce all our cost using technology, to reduce the skill level of people. By doing all that, we prepare ourselves to ride the wave. So trust me, an even bigger digital wave is coming, because there are, today you can say only 20% of whatever we do is digitized, but in the next 2-3 years, 70-80% of things will be digital. So that means for this digital wave, you can prepare yourself by deploying the right technology and using this opportunity. During that time, the Udaans of the world will struggle and won't be there. And it gives you a huge opportunity to, penetrate the market bigger and faster. So finally, I want to only say one thing, we heard about the next generation coming into business. I am also, old enough to retire in next 10 years or so. So one thing I find is when we go back home after our business, what mood we go, we reach home and how do we behave determines whether our children want to, come to our business. So every day if we go home tired and if we have a negative experience to share, definitely our kids won't be interested in coming into our business. Whereas if whatever work we do in our business results in positive experiences every day and success stories every day and the impact we are doing to the society because we have the business, if that kind of positive stories are shared every day, definitely, most of our children would want to continue in our business. That is something I learned, and I once again thank you all for the wonderful opportunity and wish you all the best.